This is The Professionals, a podcast by music business technology and broadcast media technology students on Outcast OCCR Owens Community College Radio. In this series, students will interview industry professionals in their respective fields to help gather an idea of what it's like to work in their industry.
Hello, I am Shelby Faulkner, your host, and I'm here with Rob Seifert. So I really just have some wonderful questions for you today. I just want to know a little bit about what do you do at Madhouse Films?
I own Madhouse Films.
Yes.
And most of my days I spend doing a variety of things, I guess. I write, I edit, I direct, all basically things that go into making films, making videos for our clients.
And what was that pivotal moment that led you into film?
So Madhouse is 21 years old. When we started our company, we did film, we did branding and graphic design and print work, and we did some interactive work as well. And I think I was maybe a couple years into it when I did this one project for Quarry Ridge Community Church. And it was one of the first times that I had the chance to, in my view, do true storytelling, where I had a thing that it had a beginning, a middle, and an end. Mm-hmm. I made a shot list and I directed these kids, and it was literally just me and a camera. But it was really fun to see a thing that went from an idea in my head to a shot list to a story. And I thought, this is what I want to do. I just want to keep doing this. And I talked to, at that time, my business partner, Bill, and I said, if I could choose, I would just focus on video. And at that point, we sort of started to have specialties in our work. And I took over the filmmaking side of Madhouse. Recently, we became actually different companies. And now my company just solely does filmmaking.
So what interests you to the Midwest region, Toledo to be exact?
I'm from Cincinnati. I went to Bowling Green State University and I studied art. My now wife, Amy, had a year left of school. And we thought we were going to go do something entirely different with our lives. But in the meantime, when she had a year left, I had to get a job. I got a job in Toledo at an ad agency and started working and kind of rethought what I wanted to do. I really like making things. I like doing this client work stuff. I thought, let's just stay here for a little bit because I liked my job where I was. And I guess I ended up here because we never left. That's what happens when you stay. I love being in the Midwest. There's a lot of things that are really great about being in Ohio and being in a place like this, especially when we travel to different places. We do a lot of work for higher ed clients. Sometimes when we go to bigger cities, it's fun about being in big cities because it looks different. There's a lot of different things you could film in other places. But one thing about the Midwest and some of the projects we get to work on is there's a lot of accessibility about a place like Northwest Ohio. Like we filmed this project for the Toledo Walleye. We were able to film on a bridge. We were able to shut down this bridge crossing the river. And I was thinking, this would probably be really hard if we were in a big city. You can't just call up the city and be like, hey, can we close the bridge down for a little bit? So it's things like that. That's not the only thing, but
I know that Madhouse offers over 20 different services from photography, filming, motion design, digital advertisement, and more. Have you ever had those moments where you were working with a client and it was challenging? How were you able to collaborate with the team and the people that you were working for?
I've definitely had times that were challenging with clients. I think that after doing this for a while, I care a lot about the work we do, and I want to do the best possible thing. We make the best possible work we can. But at the same time, I know that it's at the service of somebody else. It's for somebody else. This is not like when I was in art school, the projects it was like whatever I wanted to do. And so at the end of the day, I need to be willing to listen carefully to what the client is saying and why it's not working for them. Simply just telling them that, yes, this works and you should like this doesn't actually work out. That's a pretty self-centered approach. So I'd rather try to ask questions about what they feel like why it's not working. It gets hard when people try to get in there and sort of solve the problem themselves as opposed to trusting you to find the solution. So usually if somebody isn't liking something, I like to try and dig deeper, like what's the underneath thing? What's not quite working out, and present solutions to it. Sometimes I do just have to say, well, here's what it would look like if we did that you're suggesting. But if I don't believe in that as a good solution, I usually try to think of an alternative and say, here's what you're asking for. Here's how this would work. But what if we tried this over here, and just show them both? I think you gain trust that way, that you're not like just putting your foot down and saying, no, I'm not going to do the thing you're wanting. I just have to believe that people are smart, and they like to be given options.
Yeah, that's amazing. And thank you for that. What skills do you believe that a person should have when it comes to film?
Storytelling is at the top of the list for me. And for that, I think that you have to have good ideas. You have to have ideas that are the kinds of stories that you would want to hear, that you would want to lean in and hear more of when somebody starts telling them. So communication skills, being able to think, how can I take this event and turn it into a story that somebody would want to spend their time with and listen to? So that's writing. I think writing is a huge skill, no matter what you're going into in a creative field. Because often it's a way to solidify your ideas in a way that is easy to transfer. You can show it to somebody. Somebody else can spend some time and read it. And it's also a fast way to communicate an idea. When we're sitting around and brainstorming as a team, I often find that people who can communicate well with their words, their ideas gain traction because they're able to describe an idea, and you as a person sitting in the room can picture that in your head because of the words they're choosing and the way how descriptive they are. If you struggle with words, if you struggle with describing a thing, then your ideas are hard to grasp and hard to like get people galvanized by. So if you're a person who can communicate well, people in a room get excited about it. And the thing about filmmaking is it's a team sport. I'm working with, my team is 7 people. You want to have other people who are adding to your idea. And so words are, I think, probably the most powerful part of that. Oftentimes people focus on the picture side of things, like the visuals. And I think that's important too. I think the first part of it is the words.
Not thinking about the budget, but what is a project that you would love to work on in the future?
We made our first actual feature-length film 2 years ago. It was a passion project. It was not like a huge client thing, but that was really fun. And that was as close to being like back in school and making something for the sake of making something as it gets for us. There was a small budget for building the set that we filmed on. And there were the principal photography, which refers to the length of time you're actually filming the thing, was I think 14 days. And the food budget actually was pretty substantial because you got to feed all those people. That was really fun to get to be a part of. And to be honest, even with that project, I built the set, and then my crew filmed it, and then I helped with editing. But just being around that energy of like, how can this story be told in the best way possible with no restrictions was really fun. And a thing that somebody cared about enough to, Matt Foss, my friend at the University of Toledo, wrote the screenplay and he was in it. And his friend Cora Vanderbroek was the co-writer and also the co-star of it. And just see these people taking their craft really seriously. That's what's fun is when all the thing about filmmaking is there's writers and there's actors and there's cinematographers and there's gaffers and there's all these different parts people play. And when you get to be a part of a crew where everybody's pumped about their little part that they're playing, it's just this thing that you see happen. And the final thing, hopefully it looks effortless, but the reality is it took a lot of work to get to that spot. I love big, complex things like that people can make look simple is really fun.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm Shelby Faulkner, your host, and my guest is Robert Seifert, the owner of Madhouse Films.
This has been the Professionals Podcast by Music Business Technology and Broadcast Media Technology students. Join us next time on OutCast OCCR Owens Community College Radio.